Luigi's Mansion practically begs for a Marxist reading. Look at the wealth, the hoarded gold, the way you turn ghosts into literal collectibles to display. But that's too easy. Instead, let's look at this game through a feminist lens, focusing on how the game confines Luigi to the house. Luigi's Mansion starts out disguised as a standard action game. It sets you up to expect speed, rescues, and escalating stakes. Classic video game heroism, the kind Mario practically trademarked, meaning sprinting forward, crossing frontiers, stomping enemies into submission. But the moment you actually pick up the controller, the rhythm shifts completely. You spend your time keeping the house running. You don't destroy the mansion. You don't clear it out like a traditional hero beating up bad guys. You just clean it. And right at the center of all of that is Luigi. He doesn't act like a bold adventurer, he behaves like a deeply anxious caretaker who just got handed the keys to a domestic nightmare that he never asked for. Professor Egad sets up the whole game by dumping a chore list in your lap and running away before you can ask why ghost eviction is listed right next to please go find Mario's clothes. You're not saving the day, you're just restoring order to an interior space because nobody else is going to tidy it up. That setup quietly shifts Luigi's role from hero into caretaker. Look at his main tool. The poltergust is just a vacuum cleaner. Compare that to the other Mario game that gives you a weapon, Mario Sunshine's Flood. Both are cleaning devices, but Mario's weapon is aggressive. It boosts your mobility, and it blasts enemies because functionally it's a gun. Luigi though, nah. You aren't striking down enemies or asserting any dominance. You're tidying them out of existence, which feels a lot closer to standard housekeeping than epic combat. Even fighting the ghosts feels like you're just dealing with a household that refuses to stay clean. They fight back, they cling to the molding, and they spiral through the air like dust that learned how to panic. Meanwhile, Luigi just stands there, trying to vacuum a rug that keeps screaming at him. The gameplay, it takes supernatural conflict and turns it into invisible domestic labor. The rooms are just messy spaces, and Luigi is stuck in a cycle of cleaning them, completely denied the glory of a traditional conqueror. He never gets to feel like he's in control of the house. His flashlight and vacuum only offer short interruptions before the space snaps right back to its chaotic, untidy state the second he looks away. From a feminist perspective, this is fascinating because it forces Luigi into a subservient, historically feminized role while still calling him the protagonist of an adventure. He isn't exploring the mansion, he's servicing it. Every floor is a checklist of chores. Every room is a minor crisis of disorder. A ghost pops up and you don't destroy it, you follow a routine. Stun, vacuum, struggle, contain. Then you repeat the whole process until the room is finally quote-unquote clean. And then there's the actual care work. The mansion's a mess. Objects are misplaced. Secrets are stuffed into drawers, and rooms look like they were abandoned mid-use. Luigi's job is to make this home comfortable and orderly again. He opens the drawers, he checks corners, vacuums dust, and recovers lost items. Progression usually comes down to retrieval tasks that feel absurdly intimate. Finding Mario's clothing doesn't feel like an epic quest. It feels like laundry retrieval under extreme occupational hazard. It's the invisible, thankless job of picking up after the successful patriarch who went out to conquer the world and left a massive mess behind. You aren't rescuing the hero, you're just hunting down his scattered belongings while the furniture yells at you. The boss fights don't break this rhythm either. They reinforce it. A boss is just a larger mess or a more active chore. The first area boss, Chauncey, is literally just Luigi playing with a baby. Even though Luigi doesn't want to, it needs to be done because childcare is a key facet of domestic work. And that's why it feels so standardized when you win. For Luigi, it wasn't play, it was just finishing a chore, which immediately means there's another chore waiting for you in the next room. The mansion is designed to be a house that refuses to stay finished. Even Luigi's movements show his subversion of power. He doesn't blaze a trail through the world. He processes interiors. You check the room, vacuum the edges, interact with furniture, and find hidden items. The game constantly coaxes you into treating the space as something to be nurtured and managed, not conquered. And because everything is filtered through Luigi's cautious, apologetic movements, navigating the house starts to feel like servitude. He doesn't storm into a room, he walks in like a guest who isn't entirely sure he's allowed to be there. Luigi might as well knock, crack open a door, and meekly ask, "Housekeeping?" The mansion isn't a battlefield, it's an occupied home that has to be brought back to order through repetitive care. The humor highlights this too in the game. Vacuuming ghosts, interrupting theater performances, dragging spirits into a container. It's funny, but it also reinforces the idea that Luigi's relationship to this space is submissive. He isn't fighting a war, he's just restoring order to a domestic sphere that happens to be haunted. The ghosts often feel like leftover remains of rigid gender roles. They linger in specific spaces as if they are stuck performing a role forever, waiting, guarding, repeating. They live in loops that only break when you interrupt them with the vacuum. But the poltergeist doesn't actually liberate them, it just locks them away. And that containment brings everything right back to domestication, because by the time you get to the deeper layers of the mansion, you can see how the game's unfolding. You enter a room, you find the disorder, you manage the resistance, you restore partial order, and move on. The game doesn't escalate towards freedom or glory, it's just an infinite repetition of domestic upkeep under slightly different conditions. Nothing ever breaks. The mess just reappears in a different room. You never actually conquer the mansion, you just stabilize it. You reduce the chaos into a manageable silence. Luigi exits each room the exact same way he entered the building, still performing a caretaker role that feels a little too big for him, still reacting instead of commanding, and still trapped in a setup that demands his labor without giving him any real authority. The real horror of the mansion isn't the ghosts, it's how quickly the haunting becomes routine. It's how easily that routine turns into an unending cycle of upkeep, and it's how domestic labor, once you get trapped in a loop like this, stops feeling like an adventure at all. It's just maintenance with the occasional screaming furniture. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun exploring this concept. I might not know you, but I love you. Take care.